Right, we got a lot of splaining to do from Nick Wright, but we have a great show for you today on a Tuesday morning. Coming up, it was a night of top-seeded upsets in the NBA. How should Bucks fans be feeling this morning? Hey, how should Lakers fans be feeling? How should our guy Nick be feeling? We'll find out soon enough. How were the Houston Rockets able to dominate last night without Russell Westbrook in the lineup? We will find out. And in the NFL, who do you think is under more pressure going into this season, Cam or Tom Brady? We will find out, but we start with the presumed pressure that our guy Nick Wright is under. Blazers, Lakers, game one of the NBA Finals. Top seed versus bottom seed out west. But nobody stuck to that script. Lakers struggled on offense as they have all bubble long, and the Blazers stuck to their favorite time of day, which Wilds will tell you is Dame time, they have all bubble long. Dame time. Damian Lillard dropping a game-high 34 points, going 6 of 13 from deep. And while LeBron would finish with his 24th postseason triple-double, it was not enough. Blazers take game one of this series. Nick, yesterday I asked you if you were worried about the Lakers heading into the series because of the way they played. This morning I'm going to ask you if you're nervous about the Lakers after game one of the playoffs. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, you're asking me if I'm nervous now. I think that what it says on the screen is finally time for Nick to admit. And I'm going to be honest. I resent the implication of the question. Because the implication is I am anything other than fully honest with you, the audience, and you, America. Real quick, listen. I regularly lie to my children. I occasionally lie to my bosses. At times, I even lie to my wife. I never lie to you, America. The most honest 2 or 3 hours of my day are right here. And if I were nervous, I would tell you I was nervous. The reason that not only did last night not make me nervous, last night made me feel emboldened about the Lakers and their potential to easily dispatch the Blazers in 5. I do think to win a series in 5, you do have to lose one game. I think that's how that math works. But also, for the Lakers' chances to win the title is because that was all predicated on one thing more than anything else. And that was playoff LeBron James showing up. And what we saw last night in year 17, when LeBron threw up a stat line that no one had thrown up in the history of the playoffs, 2015 and 15. He actually went 23, 17, and 16, and it would have been 23, 17, and 25 if guys could hit open shots. He had that many great assist chances. Was that, okay, this idea that, LeBron aged in quarantine was nonsense. He played a brilliant offensive game and was very good, as the rest of the Lakers were, defensively in quarters 2 through 4. The Lakers, Antoine, lost last night for 2 reasons. One, they got punched in the mouth in the first quarter, which should not have really surprised anyone, given the fact that they were coasting through the seeding games and the Blazers were playing for their playoff lives. You would expect the Blazers to come out sharper, and they did. That was the Lakers' one bad defensive quarter of the game. And the primary reason they lost is they didn't have a bad three-point shooting night. They had a historically awful three-point shooting night. It was the second worst high-volume three-point shooting game for any team in the history of the NBA playoffs. Is that going to happen again? I say no. Did the Lakers show you they can defend the Blazers in this series? I say yes. And was that playoff LeBron James's music playing all throughout the game? Clearly. So they got to clean a few things up. I think there might be a starting lineup change coming, but it's one that I've been calling for since before they changed the starting lineups to begin with. But am I nervous? Of course I'm not nervous, Antoine. I think you saw the formula the Lakers need to implement. It would just be nice to have a few shots going.
Well, Nick, I think you should be nervous. I think that's the wrong approach to take, because this is not the Golden State Warriors of 2-3 years ago where teams were actually scared of them. Portland is not scared of the Lakers, and that's what I got out of last night's game. They're ready for the challenge. They're up for it. They're in great playoff mode. They have an 8-man rotation that plays very well together, late in games. And I'm saying it right now, when he does this to his watch, right now, he is the best point guard in the game. Right now, I know it's Steph Curry, Westbrook. We know people like other guys out there, Kyrie Irving. But Dame Dollar is the best point guard in the game. He's the most clutch point guard in the game, late in games. The threes he made, the plays he made. What was more impressive last night was the pass to Carmelo Anthony for the three. I thought in the fourth quarter was even better than him making this long three that we see on the highlight of Anthony Davis. And then also the Lakers got a lot of problems, what I got last night. And we haven't talked about this, but we may have to talk about the coaches. Frank Vogel versus Terry Stout. The Lakers right now have to figure out who's going to be in their rotation. You can't get Kentavious Pope goes, I think, 0 for 9. Alex Caruso was like, I think he was 1 for 6 or something like that. So you don't get any production from those two guys. One guy plays 29 minutes. Another guy's played 24 minutes. The Lakers have problems. And I don't know if Frank Vogel has the ability, or is he scared enough to play J.R. Smith and Dion Waiters. This is not the time to try to make guys happy that's been there all year long. You brought these guys in for a reason. You need them. You need them to be a part of your rotation. You need playoff-type guys. And I don't like where the Lakers are at right now, the rotations are. And I also said this Monday, Nick, LeBron James has to score 30, 35 points a game. The numbers are great. They were cute numbers. They were unbelievable. Triple-double numbers. Cute. This is not the series for triple-doubles. This is a series for you to dominate. You have the one mismatch in this series. You have to dominate. It's a 35, 40-point series. It's not a triple-double series. I know it looks good, but he has to put his imprint on the game. Late in games, he has to go to the block. He's coming out pick and roll. I did not like the Lakers' offense the last 6 minutes. It's a lot of threes, a lot of outside play. Get to the basket. Use your power. And he did not do that. So I think the Lakers are in trouble, Nick. It's time to be a little nervous because Portland's not scared, and they're very confident. And that's what I took out of last night's game.
No, it's time to be very nervous. It's time to be very nervous. And I'm trying to modulate my happiness, Jenna, because I actually made a mistake. And, Nick, I've been saying for the whole week that there was 5 big reasons LeBron was going to be upset, and I made a mistake. Once I saw the game last night, I've upgraded to 9 reasons that LeBron is going to be upset. And it starts with the same old, no home court advantage. Yeah, it's a lot. No home court advantage. You can't say, don't worry, we're going back to Staples. Not happening. Wolf and 8 seeds clothing, remember, they're not a real 8 seed. LeBron said it, and so did your buddy Kevin Wiles. Unguardable superstar Dame still can't be stopped. Dame's taking shots. You're like, when the ball's releasing out of Dame's hands, I'm like, oh, it's going in. You just feel it. You feel like that's going in. Hey, guess who's starting? Gabriel. Remember I was worried about Nurkic? Melo goes over like, hey, try your best. He's like, I'm going to. You did a great job. Cold depleted lineup. Told you that was going to happen. Nick, I was like, hey, be worried. You're like, no, I'm not worried about it. And then today you're like, they were cold in the first quarter. I'm like, yeah, dude. That's what I told you to be worried about. Clutch Melo, and we got defensive Melo playing on his buddy. JR DMP, what Antoine was talking about. Nick, put your guy in. Put him in. Danny Green, how many shots are we going to have Danny Green miss? Dion played 1 minute, and JR played 0, and Whiteside had 5 big blocks. It was just one big one on LeBron. It's just fantastic. But, Nick, specifically, I want JR to play. I know you're not nervous, and you refuse to, like, move off of your I'm not nervous, statue. But give JR some time. Can we agree on that? Is that our middle ground?
Well, listen, Antoine's point about the rotation is well taken. I would take your crowing this morning a little better if you had any type of courage in any moment prior to today to actually pick the Blazers to win the series. But you have been silent on that front. I see your cute
Not
little
true.
box behind you.
Oh,
it doesn't count.
Did you write that in chalk?
In the show.
You can't.
An hour ago?
That's great. That's great. You can pick. Wiles is going to invent a new medium of picking series after game 1 of the series. But there are 2 important points. One that I agree with Antoine on and Wiles alluded to, and the other that I vehemently disagree on. The one I agree on is the rotations and whether or not Dion or JR need to be involved. Listen, the moment Avery Bradley went down, I said right here, Alex Caruso should be that starter. Let KCP keep coming off the bench. The Lakers said, when he went down the first time, KCP went in the starting lineup. We were like 13-4. But that 5-man lineup, the Lakers are starting with, of all 17 of their most played lineups this year, the single worst one is LeBron, KCP, Danny Green, AD, JaVale. And that's the lineup they're starting games with. So that needs to be adjusted. But the point Antoine made, and this point is going to be made by almost everyone today, even from Shannon Sharp to Skip Bayless, no matter where you're at on the LeBron James spectrum, folks are going to say what Antoine said. You've got to be more aggressive. You've got to take over the game. You've got to take more shots. To that, I say you are all wrong, because LeBron understands the goal is not to win game one against the Blazers. The goal is to win a championship. And if they are going to win a title, then Kyle Kuzma, Danny Green, KCP, and most importantly, Anthony Davis have to feel good about where they are, have to see shots going in. It can't just be, all right, listen, I'm good enough to beat the Blazers by myself because they don't have a matchup for me, so I will take over. I will take 35 shots. If they're down 3-2 in the series, then yeah, then at that point he'll have to do that, and he will. But the goal is bigger, Antoine, than this one game. And if you're trying to win 16 of these, his approach of getting other people involved is the only way to go about it. It's the only way for the Lakers, in my eyes, to be able to win the title. So everyone's going to, by the way, agree with Antoine, and everyone's going to say I'm wrong. But I will. LeBron did that intentionally, and even though they lost, I think it's the right approach.